Hey guys, it's Aman
and Christina
from
Our Rich Journey.
This is the video that you have been waiting for. You guys have been asking us to do a follow-up video on the Robo-Advisors video we did a couple of weeks ago. In that video, we talked about the pros and cons of different Robo-Advisors. And in that video, we asked you if we were to invest our money in a Robo-Advisor, which one would you recommend? Well, you guys came back to us and recommended 3 Robo-Advisors. And so in today's video, we are going to talk about the $1,000 that we invested in each Robo-Advisor in what is called a friendly competition. In fact, we're calling this Battle of the Bots.
So like Aman said, we are calling this the Battle of the Bots. And for this battle, we took $1,000 and we invested $1,000 in each of the 3 different Robo-Advisors. So we took $1,000 and put it into M1 Finance, $1,000 and put it into Acorns, and $1,000 and put it into Betterment.
And the idea of this competition is to see how these Robo-Advisors perform relative to each other. Because when you saw our pros and cons video, we talked about whether or not you can achieve financial independence with a Robo-Advisor. And one of the questions that we could not answer was how these Robo-Advisors actually perform relative to each other and relative to the total stock market. So this competition is going to track the performance of all of them relative to one another. And we will be also tracking how they perform since we invested them relative to the total stock market.
Now, as you may know, there are hundreds of Robo-Advisors out there. So some of you may be asking, why did we pick these specific Robo-Advisors? Well, when we made our Robo-Advisor video a couple of weeks ago, we asked all of you to comment and give us advice as to which ones you wanted us to track. And by far, Robo-Advisors that came up were M1, Betterment, and Acorns. So those were the ones we focused on.
So if you don't know what a Robo-Advisor is, we're not going to go into a whole lot of detail as to what they are and how they're structured. Go check out our other video to learn more about Robo-Advisors. We're going to assume you know what they are, so we're going to jump into the Robo-Advisors that we invested in.
But first, let's go over the ground rules. So to make this competition fair, we established 3 simple ground rules. Okay, so first, each account received $1,000 invested into it. And every Wednesday, we're going to automatically invest another $10 into each account. This is us dollar cost averaging into the accounts. Number 2, we used the same demographic information to create each account. So for each account, we reported ourselves as being 35 years old, married with 2 kids, a family income of $100,000 with a high risk tolerance, and general investing for the long term. We also reported ourselves as having little to no investment experience.
Now, these are not our demographics, but we wanted to create a profile of someone that would typically invest in a Robo-Advisor. Because the idea is that you are investing with them because you want to do something that is simple and easy to do. You don't want to put a whole lot of thought behind your investments. So you hand it off to the Robo-Advisor.
And the third ground rule is that the money will be invested in the portfolio that the Robo-Advisors recommend for us.
So this is the appeal with Robo-Advisors, is once we put in all of our demographic information, our risk tolerance, our time frame, our age, the Robo-Advisor made a recommendation. And with each account, the rule was we had to accept that recommendation.
Now, it's important to note that not all Robo-Advisors are going to ask the same information, and they're also not going to give the same exact recommendations. So what we did is we filled out our demographic information, and each Robo-Advisor output the recommendations for us. And out of all 3 of the Robo-Advisors, we got similar recommendations based off of our age and our risk tolerance.
So across the board, the Robo-Advisors recommended that we go into an aggressive stock portfolio, one that was made up of either 80 to 90% stocks or 10 to 20% bonds.
Now that we've gone through the ground rules, let's go through the 3 different Robo-Advisors that we invested in, and we're going to start with M1 Finance. Now, M1 Finance is by far the most popular of the 3 that was recommended to us. If you've never heard of M1 Finance, it's an online broker and investment manager hybrid. Established in 2015, it's called a hybrid brokerage because of its unique options that allow you to self-manage your investments or have your investment managed by its Robo-Advisor algorithms. M1 allows you to pick individual stocks, funds, or Robo-Advisor portfolios that follow a predefined investment style. And most appealing is, unlike other Robo-Advisors, M1 Finance charges no service fees for managing your money. Its services are absolutely free. When we signed up for M1 Finance, we were asked a series of questions to determine our risk tolerance and investment goals. After completing the questionnaire, M1 doesn't direct you to a specific portfolio like other robo-advisors do. Rather, the system makes you do a little more work to pick the right robo-investment portfolio. And what we mean by this is M1 provides options of expert pies. These are predefined portfolios that follow an investment style. With expert pies, you can review and then pick a portfolio based on your risk tolerance. Since we were doing general investing, we reviewed 8 of the general investing pies and picked the one that fit the demographic information that we discussed. We ended up going with the aggressive pie. The aggressive pie is made up of 8 Vanguard ETFs like VOO, VNQ, and VCIT. It has a dividend yield of 2.384 and an expense ratio of 0.06%. It's made up of 86% stocks and 14% bonds.
And once we establish our M1 account, we set up a recurring deposit to take place every Wednesday. So now M1 is good to go. Let's move on to Betterment. Now, we were surprised that Betterment came in as the second choice because Betterment has been around for a very long time. It is probably the #1 robo-advisor out there. Because it's one of the oldest and largest advisors, most people have probably heard of Betterment. It's one of the biggest robo-advisors out there. To invest with Betterment's Robo-Advisor service called Better Digital, there is no account minimum, but there is a charge of 0.25% for assets under management annually. Betterment is what we call a traditional old-school robo-advisor. To sign up for Betterment, it was super easy. It took less than 10 minutes to complete. We answered a series of questions about our background, goals, and investment needs, and at the end, Betterment recommended a general investing portfolio made up of 90% stock ETFs and 10% bond ETFs. The portfolio is made up of 11 ETFs, mostly Vanguard ETFs. The expense ratio is 0.06%, which is the same expense ratio for the M1 Finance portfolio, except Betterment charges a 0.25% fee for using their platform.
One thing that was sort of odd about Betterment is that we couldn't find what the exact dividend yield of the portfolio was. We'll discuss this in more detail when we talk about Betterment by itself in a future video, but that's something we found a little strange.
Yes, it was strange, but just like our M1 portfolio, we also set up a recurring deposit to take place every Wednesday with our Betterment account.
And finally, let's talk about Acorns.
Oh, I like to refer to them as the Young Buck Advisors because this is a very popular robo-advisor with millennials.
If you haven't heard of Acorns, it's a robo-advisor app that's best known as being one of the first spare change investment apps. The app lets people automatically save their spare change by rounding up the purchases they make with a linked credit card or debit card. For example, if you buy a soda for 75 cents, Acorns will round up to $1 and automatically invest the remaining 25 cents. The app became very popular with millennials because of the way it kind of tricks you into investing. But the brokerage is more than a spare change investment app. It has a ton of features now and recently started offering retirement accounts. And you don't just have to invest spare change. You can invest any amount and set up recurring deposits. With our account, we didn't set up a spare change investment. Acorns cost $1 per month for accounts less than $5,000 or 0.25% per year on those over that. But if you're a student or are 18 to 23 years old, Acorns doesn't charge a fee. For all Acorns investors, the average expense ratio is 0.10%. When you sign up for Acorns, the app will ask you certain investor questions and will recommend a portfolio for you based on your age, time horizon, income goals, and risk tolerance. Acorns is super simple. It will recommend one of 5 portfolios ranging from conservative to aggressive. In our case, it recommended the moderately aggressive portfolio. This moderately aggressive portfolio consisted of 80% stocks and 20% bonds. The portfolio is made up of 7 ETFs, which are mostly Vanguard ETFs. The expense ratio is 0.10%, and like Betterment, the yield is not published.
So that is it. The battle of the bots has begun. I wish we had like some ominous music or something like that. I mean, the accounts are funded, and we have set up the automatic contributions to take place every week. If you want to keep up with the play-by-play action of this battle, we'll be posting results every week on Instagram. So if you are not following us on Instagram, get out there and follow us. Also, every quarter, we will come back to the portfolios and provide an overview of their performance and provide insight and perspective. In addition to that, we will also be releasing 3 more videos that are reviews of the various robo-advisors. So we'll do one for M1, we'll do one for Acorn and Betterment. And if you guys have suggestions for other robo-advisors you want us to look at, we will also do reviews of those. And as usual, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey.